Good morning and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from Mexico, the country, Mexico City, our state, Jalisco, our city, Puerto Vallarta, and we take a look at everything that's going on in our city. We exchange comments, tips, ideas, questions, suggestions, everything we can get our hands on so that we can enjoy a better life here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English-speaking locals. Today is Wednesday. It is June 2nd. And of course, we're going to go walking in a little while. We're going to go, I'll tell you about the walk in a second. First of all, it is always great to get together with all of you in the mornings, especially when we're here. When we're not here, it's also get together. It's also fun to get together with you. What am I talking about? It's this heat. It's driving me crazy. But hey, we know we signed up for it. It's part of the deal. It's part of what comes with living here. And what are we going to do about it other than just try to deal with it as best as possible? So, as always, if you have any important things that you want to share with us during the broadcast, please add the letter Q so that we won't miss it. If you are new to the broadcast, please write the word new in your comments so that we can give you a proper welcome. Today, we are going to take a look at some election-related news, also some feathers that have been ruffled about the cleanup on the Rio Pitillal, the Pitillal River. Deja vu, because that's what happened last year. We'll talk about that. We have news about restaurants, and we have news about those missing kids. Here I was calling them young adults out of respect. I'm not going to spoil the news just yet. And of course, we're going to go walking. We're going to go walking through a beautiful residential neighborhood that everybody should explore, and where you will find more tacos that you can possibly enjoy. But first, let's dive into the news. Then we'll get into our Walking Wednesday, and then we'll get into your comments, and we'll see how the day pans out. Let's go. For starters, by the book, and I mean by Mexico's Electoral College book, political campaigning is over as of today, and all that political parties can do between now and Sunday is simply wait for people to come out and vote. It's been a crazy 2 to 3 months since political campaigns started for mayors and deputies all over the country. Many of the political parties closed their campaigns with massive parties, pardon the pun, disregarding current sanitary guidelines. And of course, as you can see from this image, many of them failed to clean after themselves. This is just a sample of one of many photos we have taken a look at in the past few days. But it is going to be over soon. Come Sunday, after the vote, the parties have the responsibility to not only, well, cleaning cleaning after their own celebrations, but also they are supposed to be going back to all the walls that they painted and getting rid of their political messages. We will have to wait and see if this actually happens. Once again, here's a reminder also to stock your pantry with alcoholic beverages today or tomorrow in case dry law is implemented during the weekend. No official updates have been offered by the city just yet. Again, we are banking on the fact that more than likely restaurants will be able to serve alcohol if you are having a meal, but you won't be able to go to a bar. You won't be able to buy alcoholic beverages at the supermarket. And we also announced a few days ago that this was entirely up to each municipality to decide. And we move right along to this news item that I have about the Pitillal River. You may recall that a massive cleanup effort took place last year around this time along the banks of the Pitillal River in anticipation of the rain season. At the time, many detractors criticized the work because it allegedly disregarded the river's vegetation and wildlife. You may recall that last year, the government just sort of went at it, didn't make any kinds of announcements. And of course, we all saw powerful images of the river almost overflowing during the heavy summer rains and wondered what would have happened if the river had not been cleaned up prior to them. The story repeats itself this year, however, and there have been reports of damaged trees and iguanas crossing roads due to the fact that their natural environment has been eliminated. I suppose if you got to choose between iguanas and people and everybody, there is never going to be a proper answer. Let us just hope that if the city is indeed preparing the river for the waters that are going to come down through it during the rainy season, that they're doing so responsibly. Then I want to update you on these kids. So much for calling them young adults out of respect. As I suspected, the four kids, yes, kids, three of them are teenagers. The four kids that took off without telling their families did so of their own accord, claiming first that they were going to Guadalajara to a party, later on that they were going to be in the capital city to work for a month. According to the latest report, the youngsters have failed to provide details as to where they were, what they did, where they stayed during their absence, and of course the investigation continues. Still, that's not a nice thing to do to your parents, so let us unleash the parrot. Yes, what the fuck is wrong with these kids? Moving right along, Jalisco restaurants are keeping their fingers crossed in hopes that within the next 2 weeks they will be able to increase their occupancy. Shit, I always get that one confused. Their ability to welcome more guests as the pandemic conditions in the state continue to improve. This was announced when Mario Alberto Avalos Gonzalez was named the new president of the National Restaurant Chamber, or CANIRAC, at their Jalisco chapter. So we have a new president of the Jalisco chapter. According to him, approximately 2,000 restaurants throughout the state were forced to close their doors during the past year due to the pandemic. And Governor Enrique Alfaro, who was present during the formal ceremony, stated that in our state, communication with the business sector is important, and if the conditions continue to improve, the guidelines will be adjusted accordingly. As we know, the national stoplight, it will be updated in a week. And of course, we didn't hear much from Governor Alfaro as far as COVID stats this past weekend. So maybe he will give us an update this coming weekend. We can certainly hope for that, especially after the political elections. I want to also let you know, before we switch over to the weather, that CEAPAL, the waterworks, has announced that there's going to be some water shortages today between 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Coapinole, El Calvario, Lomas del Coapinole, and Lomas del Calvario. This is due to scheduled maintenance work in these neighborhoods. I see that some people are posting interesting questions. I see a couple of new friends that have joined us. Lisa, I will get to your question on the second half of the broadcast. That's what we usually do. We zip through the news so that if you are in a hurry, you can just get on with your day after the news. And then we are going to get into chit-chat mode and take a look at all these wonderful comments that I'm seeing go by. But first, let us take a look at the weather forecast. Let's see what we have here. Snarky Weather says the sky is overcast because you don't deserve nice things. Well, you don't deserve nice things either, Snarky Weather. Right now, we have a temperature of 28 degrees. Feels like 31 because humidity. It is so humid outside. It's 76%. The temperature in Fahrenheit is 82 degrees. And of course, we start getting to that time of the year where we also share the percentage, the percentage of rain, the probability of rain. There's a 5% probability that we're going to get rain. I don't think it's going to rain today, but this number, this percentage is likely to start increasing as we get closer to the rain season. Of course, the weather forecast for today, we will have a humid and mostly cloudy day with a high temperature of 32, low temperature of 24. Thursday will be a humid and mostly cloudy day with a high temperature of 31, low temperature 24. And Friday will be humid and mostly cloudy, again, with a high temperature of 32, a low temperature of 23. So, again, it's getting warmer, it's getting hot, but what can we do about it? Actually, a very nice friend that watches the show regularly sent me an unexpected Facebook message yesterday and said, if you spray your sheets with a little bit of mist of water, and then turn the fan on right before you get ready to go to bed, the sheets will feel a lot fresher. And indeed, I tried this last night. I have a little spray bottle that I have with water and a little bit of fabric softener. This is what I use to dust my furniture. And I sprayed a little bit of this and on my bed, and I turned the ceiling fan on, and lo and behold, things felt a little fresher, and it certainly smelled better. That's for sure. So if you have any interesting suggestions on how to stay cool other than spending a fortune in air conditioning electricity bill, please feel free to share them with the cluster. And now I think it's a good time to go for a walk. Let me tell you, I don't know. Do I tell you about the walk first or do I tell you about the walk second? No, let me tell you a little bit about the walk. Yesterday, I went walking. This walk that we're going to look at took place yesterday late afternoon. It was very warm outside, and I decided I am going to wait for the afternoon sun to be in such a place that it won't hit me as I'm walking down the street. And lo and behold, that's exactly what I did. And another reason why I went walking late in the day in this particular neighborhood is because, as it turns out, this neighborhood is very much alive during the daytime, but it also comes to life right in the middle of the afternoon, early evening. So before I tell you more about it, let's just look at it, and then we'll come back for comments. Everyone, today I am standing at the intersection of Avenida de los Tules and Avenida Las Torres, which is directly behind me. Right now I'm standing, what I can see in front of me is restaurant Lucumbe, which is an absolutely wonderful restaurant. And just to give you a sense as to where I am at, if I was to walk in that general direction for some, say, 5 or 6 blocks, I would be right at the intersection where La Comer and Costco are located, but not today. Today we are heading down Avenida Las Torres for a number of reasons. Number one, I am heading to Walmart, and I figured if I'm going to Walmart at Macro Plaza, I might as well show you a different path.
Yes.
Number two, Avenida Las Torres has a bunch of interesting businesses and activity and food and all kinds of things that you may or may not know about if you're not familiar with this side of the city. Now, for starters, think about Avenida Las Torres as running parallel to Francisco Villa, and I'm going to show that to you on a map. Secondly, something that is interesting about this particular avenue is that it changes names, at least on Google. And, ooh, hello, gorgeous. Hold on, I'm going to be totally horrible and do this. Yes, I did it. But what can I say? That's why I carry my camera.
He was that too.
Anyhow, if you look at this avenue on Google Maps, you'll find that it changes names. Why it changes names is a mystery to me. I know it as Avenida Las Torres, and I suppose it has to do with these very tall electricity towers.
That's my theory.
That end up at the substation, electrical substation that is located next to the Libramiento. Now, to the left of me is, I believe, Aralias,
And that's the neighborhood.
which is a very residential neighborhood. To the right of me is Colonia Los Sauces, which is also very residential. But again, along this avenue, you can find all kinds of interesting businesses in a block or two. Buenas tardes.
Oh, Michael.
Hola. Well, some people are friendly, others are not. It is what it is. Okay, just to give you another sense, if I was to walk down this street right now, I would end up at Licks in Fluvial. So that gives you a sense as to how we are walking around the back roads.
I meant to say sense of direction.
Now,
but
coming up at this intersection is the Parque Las Aralias, or Las Aralias Park. And as you can see, there's all kinds of activity going on.
lots of people
Let us take a
having
quick
fun.
look.
It was great.
You know, this is a totally residential park where there are people hanging out. Some people are doing exercise. Ahorita no, muchas gracias. And then, over here is a place called La Loteria. It's a restaurant that I've heard about quite a bit. Oh, check out these dudes. They're like doing the ninja sword thing. I love it. Anyhow, we're walking down this park and we're going to continue. Buenas tardes. We're going to continue along Avenida Las Torres to get to the more commercial side of things. It's nice to see people hanging out. Buenas tardes. And over there, far away, I see a Zumba class going on. I don't know that I'll be able to capture it because it's rather far away. If you're wondering about the time, it's about 6:30 in the afternoon. And I decided to come out at this time for a couple of reasons. Number one, because it's really hot outside.
It was.
And number two, because there's a number of taco places that
usually don't open until the evening. For example, check out, well, let me get to a good place to photograph it. There's a place across the street.
Wait for this. Wait.
Let me see if I can capture it as soon as I cross this tree. Right across the street from where we are is a place called Tacos y Papelería Los Sauces, which means that the place doubles as a taco stand and an office supply store. Who knew that you could combine both of them?
Take a hint off this depot.
I guess it's a Puerto Vallarta thing. Little convenience store here at the corner. Small business here that sells crepes. And Tacos Huichos is just starting their operation. They haven't even started burning their pastor, but we know the name. There is a Taqueria Huichos in Colonia Versalles.
On Francia.
Again, this one is just getting the engines running. Buenas tardes. Moving right along, there's a kiosco here. And one of my favorite shops, and we've stopped by this shop before, is Mexico Mágico. Now there's another one of these in downtown Puerto Vallarta, but here is one of the few places, and in fact, I'm going to walk in. I want to show you because they are not... ¿Puedo echar un vistazo? There are not that many places in town where you can find art supply things.
Acrylics.
Look at this. There's acrylics and there's all kinds of supplies that you might need if you want to paint something. There are unfinished canvases of all sizes here.
I meant to say
And
blank.
there are these beautiful wooden boxes which I have purchased in the past, which are great for painting or decoupage and all kinds of things. And again, this place is called, este lugar se llama México Mágico. Muchas gracias. They have a branch in El Centro on Juárez, and I believe they are one of the few places in town where you can get art supplies.
So much fun. And yes, the shop is called Mexico Mágico.
Moving right along, there are more shops here and there. There's a place across the street that promises authentic, traditional Mexican cuisine. And there's a well-known sushi place coming up here on the left side called Sushiro. We're going to take a photograph of it.
The candle making shop is completely got it. It seems like I was following the lady in the black. I wasn't. Until I was editing the video, I realized it looked like I was.
Panaderia Don Chonito is right here. A great bakery. So if you want to get freshly made bread, you can go there. Of course, there couldn't be a residential neighborhood in town without Farmacias Guadalajara. They're everywhere. And across the street is Taqueria Aranda, open every day starting at 4 o'clock. It's one of the well-known taquerias in this neighborhood. But again,
Show
we've
notes,
talked about the
Crystal.
fact that some tacos are time specific in this particular neighborhood, for better or worse. If you want to have tacos, you need to wait until the late afternoon or early evening.
Crystal, we're exploring Avenida Las Torres here, Puerto Vallarta. You can find it at the podcast on the show notes.
Another small convenience store I just passed, which is interesting to see because we are literally 3 blocks away from Walmart, and yet all these neighborhood stores succeed. There's a Pollo Feliz right at this corner. Closed at this time, of course. They usually open in the early part of the day. We have reggaeton coming up out of a speaker.
And I'm going to try to talk over it. I don't want you to We are hearing this music. There you go.
And then in this particular neighborhood, and I'm going to show you a little bit of this because I find it fascinating, there are all these little blocks that have no vehicle traffic going through them. They are close to cars, and they have all these older casitas in places where people live. I don't know anyone that lives here. I don't know if these are safe or not. But there's a bunch of these older streets that have no cars going through them. I would imagine that if you live in a place like this, it must be very quiet and peaceful.
Yes, it is, John. And I fear that if you can hear Maluma, YouTube can hear Maluma, and that's when my
Back
videos get
in the main
muted.
avenue, here's another taco place that is just getting started with their offerings for the evening. It's what is called El Paisa. They seem to be building something. Buenas tardes. ¿A qué hora empiezan a servir? Okay. So I just asked them, when do you start serving? And they said in about half an hour. And then there's this beautiful place called Taqueria Lupita. Check it out. Buenas tardes. Yeah, this is called Taqueria Lupita. I saw this on the map and I was very intrigued about this place. ¿De qué son los tacos? Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, de asada, de adobada, quesadillas, volcanes, carne.
¿Tiene guisados también?
No, esas son, todas esas ustedes son salsas diferentes.
Ay, qué rico. ¿Y a qué horas empiezan a servir?
Ya estamos iniciando
¿Ya?
en la fiesta.
Ah, pues ahorita nos damos una vuelta.
Cuando gusten.
Muchísimas gracias.
I went
Taqueria
back.
Lupita. What a cute little place. And they've already started serving. Something tells me we may have a Taco Tuesday mission to accomplish around here.
For 4.
Across the street, let me stop for a second and cross the street to the other side. I'll try to do this as responsibly as I possibly can. And here we go. There's a small plaza. Gracias. There's a small plaza here, right next to the church. And there's this interesting sculpture right in front of me. People hanging out. There's a lady over there that is selling bread out of a basket. And of course the neighborhood church is over here behind these fences. I know this church because I photographed a baptism at that church some time ago. Let me now continue back on my road. I'm going to switch over to the other sidewalk. And of course, I didn't even notice, but across the street from the park, there is a sit-down place where you can enjoy food. I'm not entirely sure what kind. There's a Torres place right here. And another one of those streets that has no car access. I don't know that I can photograph this well because of the sun heading directly on my face, but we give it a go. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. And yet another one of these cute little streets that has no vehicles going through them. I don't even know that I would call them streets. If you look at them on the map, they don't even look like streets. Ah, I see. So this one has an old sign called Andador Villalobos. And this is known as the Infonavit neighborhood. Andador would be like a walkway.
My sister
And
gets on my
finally,
case for crossing the street diagonal.
we get to this intersection, and if I was to walk to the left, I would be at Walmart Macroplaza in a matter of 3 minutes. It's only 2 or 3 blocks away. And I think this is a good time to stop our broadcast. I've given you a little bit of a sense of what this neighborhood is like. One thing I will tell you, and we will talk about this at some point in the future. Let me get myself away from the sunlight. If you continue in that general direction, you are 1 block away from the Pitillal River, and right on the other side is one of the most delicious places for you to find oysters inland. But we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to save that for another walk. Right now, I'm going to say farewell and thank you for joining me in this exploration of Avenida Las Torres. I will look at the map to try to find out what the other names of the avenue are so that we can be amused by them together. Between now and the next time we walk together, have a great day.
Yay! Yay! And that was our walk through Avenida Las Torres. It was so much fun. It was so hot, but it was so much fun. Let me now rewind this business of the comments so that we can see what's going on. Oh, and of course, you know, I went back to Taqueria Lupita and I had dinner there, and I am in love with that place. I mean, they had like 8 different kinds of salsas to choose from for their tacos. They served 5 different types of aguas frescas. I mean, it was just heavenly. They had a place to sit. They're definitely going to be part of Taco Tuesday, maybe even this coming week. I'm not sure yet. But let's take a look at your comments. Lots of good mornings. As always, it is great to see you. Thank you very much for that, Louise. It's great to read you. Let's see what else we have. Stephanie's happy to be walking. I love it. I love it. Dave, I couldn't agree with you more. It is really hot outside, which is why I went walking so late in the afternoon, and I am very happy that I did. Brian, how are you? And how are things in Cinco de Diciembre? We just featured a taqueria. Well, not a taqueria. We just featured Barracuda restaurant in Cinco de Diciembre yesterday. If you haven't been, it is very much recommended. Let's see what else. Liz is in a new condo. Good for you. Looking forward to several months PV this winter. Excellent. Excellent. Enrique, ay, mi vida, cosita. Enrique asks, how long does the humidity last? Well, if you mean Puerto Vallarta humidity, it'll probably remain humid through the month of October, maybe the beginning of November. And then one day, without any kind of advance notice, poof, it goes away from one day to the next. It's really funny because that's what happens every year. Lisa, who's new, welcome Lisa, says, I'm here for some months and I've heard that non-residents can get a COVID shot here. I already have the first one, but I'm interested in getting the second one here. Any info where that is? Oh, Lisa, you are opening a big can of worms. Buy the books. Buy the books. You cannot get a COVID vaccine in Mexico because you have to be a resident. You have to have a CURP number and all kinds of things. I have heard of people that are getting vaccinated just because they got lucky, but the government has been very specific about this. Number one. Number two, if you're here in Mexico, it's not like in other places where you can walk into the store and say, well, I think I'd like to have Johnson & Johnson. No, wait, maybe give me Pfizer. No, maybe give me AstraZeneca. Here, the vaccines that become available according to the government. You cannot choose your vaccine. So if you already have the first one and you know what that vaccine was, then you need to wait for the government to make that vaccine available in Puerto Vallarta again. And you need to go there and make a case and talk to the people and say, hey, I'm here. What can I do? I'm not a resident. I simply am going to be here for some months. Help me. And they may help you. They may not. That is the way it's going to go for you, for better or worse. I hope you are successful in getting your vaccine, and that's that. Glee, everybody has new apartments. What's up with that? Jesus, congratulations on that, Glee. Do you know anything about the shooting at Plaza Marina? I know that I think it was a lady was trying, they attempted to rob a woman and things got ugly. There were some gunshots and nobody was injured, although I heard that some of the chingaderas that burst out of the bullets injured a couple of children, but not seriously. That's all I know about that. Let's see what else. Chancla time. I'm sure that is for our youngster friends. And yes, we love that parrot. Absolutely. Just remember those kids' brains are not fully developed yet. Well, yeah, I was that age at some point. Friends in the cluster referral for a good international moving company would be appreciated. I hope there's a couple of suggestions there. For you, Jody, I hope that you'll get some from the cluster. If not, there are a number. Remember, this is a place for locals, so most of us may not have moved in the recent while, but you will probably find a ton of suggestions in the Puerto Vallarta groups on Facebook. Good luck with that. I hope you find the company that you're looking for. There's a couple of suggestions here. Fantastic. Let's see. Oh, more suggestions. Fantastic. Heather comments, I'm so relieved it's just being kids rather than something nefarious. Such a worry for the parents with some 12,000 people missing in Jalisco. Well, that's the part that fries my noodles, Heather. The fact that, these kids may have thought that they were just going away and that their going away does not have any type of repercussions. But we know if things like that get to the media, then it gets to people, and then the media gets excuses to write about kidnappings and violence and all kinds of things. And it was just a bunch of kids going. I mean, we still don't know why, but yes, all those actions have consequences. Lisa contributes to what I thought about what I mentioned earlier. Add a couple of drops of lavender oil to your spray bottle for sheets. I thought about that actually, but you know how some essential oils can be actually irritating to the skin. I was not sure about lavender oil, but I do have lavender oil in the house. I'm going to give that a go. Thank you very much for that suggestion. Kathleen makes a comment about Lucumbe. It's a beautiful restaurant. It's a wonderful restaurant. It's a very family style restaurant, not expensive, very comfortable. They have a bunch of al fresco areas. So if you're worrying about being in an enclosed place, you have nothing to worry about at Lucumbe. Uh, they have an awesome steak sandwich. You need to try it out. Oh dear, I'm not reading this in real time, so I'm not entirely sure what that restaurant was that about. But I'll check in with you about that, Michael, later on. Where I started walking is the exact corner where they house some of the top people in the marina. If you go by slow, you see them in the tower watching the building. Yes, I have heard about this, and I've heard that sometimes the view is quite spectacular. Let's see. Stephanie makes a comment about Mexico Mágico. Yes, they have very affordable art supply items that you cannot find elsewhere here in Puerto Vallarta. Oh, Crystal, you just made me laugh. And this is not about you, but I often laugh when I see people saying, "Oh, I just tuned in. I'm sorry. So what were you talking about?" I just imagine myself walking to the movie theater or a musical or the symphony and just asking people sitting there, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can you tell me what's being played right now?" I think I answered your question. And for those people that get here a little late, the beautiful thing about the internet and about these broadcasts is that you can patiently wait for the end and watch them from top to bottom. And check out the show notes, of course. Let's see what else we have. Sushiro, it's delightful, Kathleen. I haven't been there in forever, but I remember having a very good sushi experience there. And because of the location, it's less expensive than some other places that we know and love. Let's see what else we have. Mark makes a comment of the cookware, and I believe I saw that comment pop in just after I stopped at Taqueria Lupita. Mark, those are very common clay type of vasijas de barro, which you can find in many markets here in Puerto Vallarta and many places in Mexico. The only thing you want to worry about is to make sure that whatever you buy is properly glazed, because if they are not, whatever you start cooking in them starts tasting like clay. So whatever you buy has to be properly glazed so that it is waterproof and so that it works as expected. Let's see. Lynn just got the jab today. Congratulations. Yay! My older sister, of course, giving me a hard time for crossing the street irresponsibly makes me feel loved. Gracias, hermanita. I love you. Logan says, these are true alleys. Yes, this whole neighborhood has all these alleys. And I think it's very endearing. Again, I don't know anybody that lives in those houses, so I don't know exactly what they are like. Michael comments that at the end of the tour that we did today, there is a place that has tortas, and I still don't know where that place is located exactly. But we're going to go back, Cluster, because right as we cross over the Pitillal River, there's a bunch of shacks that sell fresh oysters that I've heard are really fantastic. I'm not a big oyster queen, so oyster fan, oyster queen, listen to me. But I'm still going to go and explore this. And Michael, give me specifics about that torta place because I would love to check it out. Let's see what else. Chum bada bum bum bum. It is always a pleasure, Dan. Thank you very much for your remark. Again, everything that I did was sidewalk friendly, wheelchair friendly. There's a lot of places that you and Kathy would probably enjoy if you find yourselves in this neck of the woods. And again, next time you're shopping at Walmart, at Macro Plaza, for example, if you're driving, considering coming back to wherever you came from, by way of Avenida Las Torres, just driving through it will give you a sense of all the activity that is going on in this particular stretch of this avenue. I had a blast walking yesterday. And of course, at the end of the walk, I went back to Taqueria Lupita and had the most wonderful taco experience. Let's see what else we have. We're almost done with your comments. So much to explore, absolutely, Anne. It's amazing how when you stop to think about it, Puerto Vallarta as a city is so much more than just a tourism destination. And while I'm certain that a lot of people in the neighborhood that we walk today, many of them may be working in tourism, it's interesting because being in this part of the city makes you forget that we are a tourist city. So it's a nice reminder. Um, Question from Terry: Where do the oysters come from? I don't see a habitat that is oyster friendly. Well, oysters come from their moms and dads who make them out of love. And obviously, I don't have a good answer for you, Terry. I may have a better answer once I go and visit the place. But right now, I am as ignorant of this situation as you seem to be. What can I tell you? I think oysters come from their parents. But if I get a better answer for you, I'll be happy to furnish it. Boom, bada bim, bum, bum. What else? What else? Thank you, Logan. I think you just took the words right out of my mouth. I believe this is exactly what I was saying, and it's always wonderful to just get a little bit of an open eye perspective of what our city is. I know Maluma's music is not for everyone, but he's a gorgeous specimen. I would feed him a taco any day like a grape. Fair enough. I'll keep that in mind. If I get a call from Maluma, John, I'll send him your way. Let's see what else. Lisa, I hope I didn't ruffle your feathers, but it is what it is. We get that question frequently, and it is always amusing to answer it. Let's see what else we have. Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, Susanna. I'm not an expert in essential oils, but I figured if I go with fabric softener, I couldn't go wrong. Well, hello. No comment. Hint, there are at least 3 colonias there, and there will be a test at the end. That is funny. Okay, so I think we are actually at the end of this broadcast. My goodness, it's 11:18, and there's still 97 of you here. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for joining us when we go out walking. It is always a pleasure to get out and get some much needed exercise, even when it's really, really warm. If you found something interesting, valuable, useful, funny, inspiring, or otherwise informative, please consider the link above. This is where you get to become a supporting member of Coffee and Headlines. This is just a humble reminder that Coffee and Headlines is possible thanks to you. There's a small percentage of you that are supporting members, and thanks to you, the rest of everybody else gets to have access to most of this information for free. So to be fair, if you're getting something out of Coffee and Headlines, consider becoming a supporting member. It's not that expensive, and it's a lot of fun. Between now and the next time we get together, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you'll stay kind, stay happy, and stay well fed, stay healthy, and best of all, stay in touch. Have a great day.